Hello, my name is Saxon Hartman,
And I'm Nick Pandelaras.
and we are third year students at the University of Pittsburgh School of Pharmacy. Our research objective was to create and evaluate a standardized training program to reduce student pharmacist stigma surrounding opioid use disorder, naloxone, and medication assisted treatment. In 2019, Pitt Pharmacy and Duquesne University School of Pharmacy received funding as part of the CDC Overdose Data to Action Grant to create and deploy educational training programs to address opioid-related stigma for pharmacists, pharmacy technicians, and student pharmacists in Allegheny County. As part of the Pitt team, we worked to create a comprehensive training program for student pharmacists at both Duquesne and the University of Pittsburgh Schools of Pharmacy that was deployed in the spring of 2020.
In order to guide the content and format of the training program, we captured information from three sources of data: semi-structured interviews with community pharmacists, discussions with local topic experts, student pharmacists and individuals in recovery, and a comprehensive literature review on opioid-related stigma. A 20-item pre- and post-program implementation survey was used to collect data from students who participated in the training program. The survey consisted of a 5-point Likert scale and open-ended questions where the Likert question responses ranged from strongly agree to strongly disagree. The questions assessed students' perceptions of opioid use disorder and the ability of a pharmacist to help patients with this disorder. Lastly, the Likert questions were analyzed using a paired t-test with a p-value of less than 0.05, displaying statistical significance for all questions. A content analysis of the open-ended questions was conducted.
The first main result was the creation of the Student Pharmacist Training Program. The training program was formatted to start with a Google image search activity showing that stigma exists all around us, sometimes in unexpected places like Google. For example, a Google image search was completed by typing person with type 2 diabetes and person with opioid use disorder into the search box and looking at the quality and types of images that came up. Next, the students discussed a chart that compared and contrasted type 2 diabetes with opioid use disorder. The exercise allowed students to compare similarities, like the presence of an infected organ and treatment goals, which highlighted that both conditions are chronic diseases with similar characteristics. After those introductory exercises, we invited a guest speaker who works in public health harm reduction and is an individual in long-term recovery to share their personal story about their experiences with stigma through a facilitated question and answer session. After the discussion, the speaker answered anonymous questions from student pharmacists that were collected using a Google Forms submission link. The students were also instructed on ways that pharmacists and student pharmacists can positively impact the lives of patients with opioid use disorder. After the session, student pharmacists completed the Pennsylvania Department of Health online naloxone training course to familiarize themselves with naloxone administration.
Following the successful implementation of the standardized training program at both schools of pharmacy, the pre- and post-program surveys were evaluated to see if student pharmacist perceptions on opioid use disorder were impacted by the program. Some of the topics evaluated through the Likert statements were participants' feelings about opioid use disorder and the idea that pharmacists are positioned to help and work with these patients. In the end, every question had a statistically significant decrease in the mean Likert score, with all questions having a p-value less than 0.001. This data reveals that the training program had a significant impact on decreasing student pharmacist stigma regarding individuals with opioid use disorder. The open-ended question responses were also analyzed and 4 main lessons learned by the student pharmacists emerged. Lesson 1. Pharmacists can play a major role in a patient's path to recovery. Lesson 2. Pharmacists should be aware that they may never know what someone is facing in their personal life. Lesson 3. Patients with opioid use disorder should be treated with dignity and respect like any other patient in the pharmacy. And Lesson 4. Hearing personal stories from individuals in recovery is an impactful way to learn and help patients who are experiencing similar situations. This data really showed that the student pharmacists are now more empathetic towards these patients and believe that they can positively affect the lives of individuals with opioid use disorder.
This program was developed in order to inform all pharmacy students graduating in southwestern Pennsylvania about the importance of reducing stigma related to opioid use disorder, medication-assisted treatment, and naloxone. We designed this training program in hopes that other schools of pharmacy or colleges of pharmacy nationwide could replicate it and provide their students with a similar program. The results from this program are currently being used to create a continuing education course so that all pharmacy personnel are adequately trained to help and care for these patients throughout the community. Thank you to our team and everyone who contributed to this project. And finally, thank you to all of you for listening in to learn more about our project to reduce opioid-related stigma.